When going to school means dangling from splintered ladders or tiptoeing inches from a deadly drop, danger isn't a thrill, it's a way of life. From China's cliff villages to Spain's infamous Caminito del Rey, these paths were carved by grit, not choice. Yeah! Stay with us as we count down the 20 most dangerous village routes in the world.
Attuler cliff ladder. What does it mean to truly risk everything for something as simple as a school day? In Attuler Village, perched high in the cliffs of Sichuan, China, the answer comes steep, 2,600 feet steep. For generations, the villagers carved their daily lives into stone, climbing vertical cliffs using ladders made of rope and wood. There were no roads, just bare mountain, trembling vine ladders, and the unshakable resolve of children as young as 6 ascending toward an education. The climb was merciless. 17 ladders lashed together, swaying against rock with nothing below but air and fate. A misstep meant death, and still, they climbed. Images of this death-defying commute surfaced, shaking the world awake. The sight of children clinging to cliffs forced authorities to act. The ladders were replaced with steel stairs. Safer? Slightly. But the danger remained, coiled in every step. Eventually, modernity arrived. The government relocated many families to newly built homes, low in the valley, far from the cliffs. Yet not all departed. Some stayed, anchored to land, heritage, and a way of life not easily surrendered. So what does it take to hold your ground when the world offers you an easier path? For the people of Attuler, the answer is simple. Everything. In this mountain stronghold, survival isn't a choice. It's a legacy carved into rock, one rung at a time. Hua cliffside ascent. Some paths demand more than courage. They demand surrender to fear itself. High in the Shanxi province of China, Mount Hua offers one such trial. The cliffside plank path, a route so perilous it seems etched for those prepared to walk the line between earth and sky. Mount Hua, one of China's 5 great mountains, draws pilgrims and adventurers alike. But not for its sacred peaks or tranquil temples. It's the narrow wooden planks clinging to a sheer cliff 7,000 feet in the air that truly test the human spirit. Just a few inches of footing, anchored into raw stone, with only a cable for balance. Each step is deliberate. Hikers wear harnesses and clip into steel lines, pressing against ancient rock as the abyss yawns beneath them. When 2 climbers meet, one must unhook and lean into empty space. The silence here is vast, broken only by the wind and the sound of hearts pounding against ribs. Still, they come, in thousands. Drawn by the legend, the thrill, and the belief that reaching the South Peak's Taoist temple brings enlightenment. For some, the climb is a spiritual rite. For others, a pursuit of the extraordinary. Though safety measures have improved, the danger remains. The mountain does not forgive missteps. It only reveals who dares to meet it on its own terms. The King's Little Pathway. If heights make your palms sweaty, El Caminito del Rey in southern Spain might just send you running. Known as the King's Little Pathway, this wild trail used to be lethal. We're talking crumbling concrete, missing railings, and drop-offs that'll make your stomach do backflips. Originally built in the early 1900s for workers to cross between hydroelectric plants in El Chorro, this cliff-hugging path wasn't designed for tourists. But over the years, daredevils started showing up, hungry for the thrill. And trust me, this wasn't your average hike. The old route was barely 3 feet wide, suspended over 300 feet above the river below. Parts were so sketchy you'd be walking on steel beams or hugging the rock face just to move forward. By the early 2000s, the trail was so dangerous that authorities shut it down. But did that stop people? Nope. Folks still snuck in, and sadly, a few paid the ultimate price. Fast forward to 2015. Spain decided to give this death trap a glow-up. They dropped millions into renovations, adding wooden boardwalks, sturdy railings, and mandatory helmets. Now it's safer, but still packs that edge-of-your-seat excitement. And the views? Insane. Towering cliffs, winding canyons, and that crystal blue river below. It's like nature flexing hard. Gulu's gravity-defying trail. Nothing about Gulu Village is easy. Nothing about its path to the outside world feels safe. High in the mountains of Sichuan province, China, this isolated village clings to cliffs like a secret, and its only connection to the world is a trail that dares you to take one wrong step. The way to school here is not a walk, it's a trial. Children, some as young as 5, make their way along ledges barely wider than a foot. cut into rock faces that plunge hundreds of feet below. The trail crumbles in places, vanishes in others, yet every day they move forward. When images of Gulu's path first surfaced, the world watched in disbelief. But this is no spectacle for its people. It is there every day. Officials have intervened with small improvements. A rope here, a bit of reinforcement there. But the land refuses to be tamed. The route remains unforgiving, and the mountain holds its ground. Still, the children walk, not with fear, but with focus. Because for them, education is worth the climb. Gulu's path is not just a trail, it's a measure of resolve, carved into stone by those who refuse to give up what they call home. Guoliang Cliff Tunnel. Is there a greater force than human resolve? In the heart of China's Taihang Mountains, Guoliang Village answers that question with stone and sweat. Once cut off from the world by sheer cliffs and impossible terrain, this remote settlement refused to disappear into silence. Instead of abandoning their home, the villagers chose to carve their own escape through solid rock. In the 1970s, 13 men armed with nothing but hammers and chisels began what many called madness, a tunnel blasted by hand through the mountainside. Day after day, year after year, they chipped at the earth, knowing failure meant isolation and success, survival. It took 5 years. What they left behind is more than a road. It is a monument to sheer determination. The Guoliang Tunnel twists like a vein along the cliff's edge, wide enough for a vehicle, tall enough to swallow the wind. Its jagged windows, cut originally to discard rubble, now frame haunting views of the abyss beyond. The drop is merciless, the path narrow and unforgiving, and when the fog coils through the mountains, the road becomes a ghost trail suspended in cloud. Tourists come now, drawn by awe, but beneath the wonder lies the truth. This was not built for thrill seekers. It was carved by villagers who would not be forgotten, who chose to make a road when none would come to them. Yushan Vertical Path. Simple survival takes a different form in Yushan Village, hidden high within the crags of Hubei Province, China. Perched against a mountainside, this village has lived for decades, tethered to the world by a staircase that defies logic and gravity. To reach Yushan, one must climb. Not a hill, not a winding path, but a vertical ascent of wooden planks bolted into raw stone. The staircase, fragile and steep, rises hundreds of feet above the ground. This path is not a relic of the past. It is the present. Elders climb it. Children descend it. They do so without pause, because for the people of Yushan, this is not adventure. It is necessity. Rain turns the climb into a treacherous ordeal, but still, they go. To buy food, to attend school, to live. Efforts to modernize the route have struggled. The land resists, fierce and unmoved. Building a road seems an impossible promise. And so, the staircase remains, a lifeline of wood and will. In a world chasing comfort, Yushan reminds us that some still rise each day by clinging to cliffs, not for glory, but for life. Bakhtiari Kuch Trail. You do not simply walk into the Zagros Mountains, you commit. Deep within this formidable range lies a path that defies reason and bends to no map. Here, the Bakhtiari nomads carve their passage not with machines, but with memory, instinct, and unshakable resolve. Twice each year, the Bakhtiari undertake Kuch, a migration unlike any other. Entire families, herds, and homes on foot move together through a gauntlet of cliffs, frozen rivers, and punishing ascents. The trail climbs over 9,800 feet, cutting through jagged rock and narrow ledges where a single misstep could end generations. Barefoot crossings through frigid waters, children clinging to their parents, livestock edging along treacherous curves. This is no ceremonial march. It is survival in motion. This route exists only because those before walked it, and those alive now still dare to follow. It is a path sustained by heritage, by necessity, and by an ancient pact with the mountains. Could you endure a journey where every moment tests not just your strength but your right to remain? Orla Perch Trail. Nothing shields you from the raw power of the mountains, but focus, footing, and resolve. In the towering heart of Poland's Tatra Mountains lies Orla Perch, a trail that challenges even the most seasoned hikers with its unforgiving terrain and dizzying exposure. Just under 3 miles long, the route may seem short, but every inch demands attention. The trail weaves along a sharp ridge where narrow ledges hug sheer cliffs and chains are the only anchors across smooth, wind-battered granite. Iron ladders climb near vertical rock faces, forcing you to rise with your hands, not just your feet. Originally crafted in the early 20th century for experienced climbers, Orla Perch remains one of Europe's most intense mountain routes. This isn't a casual walk in the woods. It's a calculated effort against altitude, terrain, and weather. When conditions shift, and they do, the trail transforms. Those who choose to face it come prepared, driven by something deeper than thrill, a need to measure themselves against the mountain. Bhutan's brutal beast. If there is a path that demands everything from the body and more from the soul, it is Bhutan's Snowman Trek. Winding through the remote Himalayas, this journey is no mere expedition. It is an ordeal shaped by ice, altitude, and time. Spanning over 200 miles, the trail crosses 11 high passes, many towering above 16,000 feet. Each step leads deeper into isolation, through snowbound valleys and across ridgelines where the air thins and silence rules. The terrain is stunning. Ancient monasteries perched on cliffs, glaciers stretching to the sky, but every inch comes at a cost. Altitude sickness stalks even the fittest. This is not a trail for the casual explorer. It's often called the hardest trek on Earth, and with reason. Most never reach the end. Yet, for the people who call these mountains home, the Snowman Trek is no legend. It is necessity. These paths connect villages forgotten by time. Children, elders, and traders walk them, carrying supplies and stories, bridging worlds through sheer resilience. To follow this trail is to glimpse a life lived in harmony with hardship, where the climb is constant, but so is the purpose. India's ice-cut gateway. Every step on Lamkaga Pass is a test, not of strength alone, but of resolve. Rising above 17,000 feet, this high-altitude trail carves through the mighty Himalayas, forging a link between the remote corners of Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand. But this is no ordinary route. It is a passage shaped by snow, silence, and centuries of necessity. Trekkers cross shifting glaciers, knife-edged ridges, and frozen rivers, with winds that slice through layers and thin air that strains every breath. The terrain is harsh, the altitude unforgiving. Yet for those who call this land home, Lamkaga is more than a challenge. It is survival. For generations, villagers have used this route not to conquer nature, but to live within it. In the absence of roads or modern transit, this trail becomes their only gateway, a lifeline carved into ice. When the snow deepens and storms descend, there is no detour, just trust in the mountain and the path ahead. Preikestolen. Here's a trail that'll test your nerves. Preikestolen, or Pulpit Rock, is one of Norway's most stunning hikes, but also one of its riskiest. This beast towers over 1,980 feet straight above the icy blue Lysefjord. And there are no guardrails. That's right, zero protection between you and a sheer vertical drop. It's a 4.7-mile round trip through rocky terrain, steep climbs, and unpredictable Nordic weather. One slip on those slick stone slabs, and it's a straight drop to disaster. Still, more than 300,000 people show up each year, ready to brave the risk, all for a chance to step out on that narrow rock ledge and take in the untamed, breathtaking scenery. The insane number of people who get too close to the edge for selfies or viral vids. It's not uncommon to see folks dangling legs or leaning over the drop. So why do people still do it? Because the thrill, the view, and the bragging rights are unmatched.
And now, it's time for the open discussion.
These villagers live on cliffs, defying gravity and fear with every step they take along the jagged rock faces. What drives a community to settle in such a precarious spot, surrounded by dizzying heights and breathtaking views? How do their lives unfold in this stunning but risky environment? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to mention #OpenDiscussion. Scotland's Knife Edge Ridge, known as Scotland's most terrifying ridge walk, this trail runs along Aonach Egach, and it's not for amateurs. Just over 6 miles long, it clings to the heights above Glencoe Valley with sheer drops, brutal scrambles, and zero margin for mistakes. Once you're on the ridge, there's no safe way down. That's right, you're committed. The path runs along cliffs so sharp and steep they've earned the nickname Knife Edge. And when it rains, and in Scotland it always rains, it turns into a slick, slippery death trap. this isn't your casual weekend hike. You'll need hands, feet, nerves of steel, and a serious respect for nature. Hikers have been caught in fog, lost their footing, and some never made it back. Even experienced climbers say this route demands full focus from start to finish. But for those who conquer it, the views of Glencoe are absolutely wild. You'll be walking above the clouds, staring down into valleys carved by ancient glaciers. Hongtiguan Tunnel Road. If you thought you'd seen sketchy, wait till you meet the old Hongtiguan Tunnel Road in China's Shaanxi province. This road isn't just dangerous, it's straight savage. Cut into the side of a vertical cliff in the Taihang Mountains, this tunnel road was built by locals who had no formal training. Just grit, guts, and some seriously wild determination. The result? A narrow, twisting path with crumbling edges, pitch-black sections, and windows that open up to nothing but a stomach-dropping drop. We're talking about a road that hugs the mountains like it's clinging for life. Just carved rock with a vertical plunge waiting to greet anyone who slips up. It's been nicknamed the Road of Death, and honestly, it earned it. Despite the danger, this tunnel was once the only way villagers could connect with the outside world. Supplies, food, school runs, all of it had to go through this brutal, hand-carved route. Today, a newer road exists, but the old Hongtiguan Tunnel still stands. A chilling reminder of just how far people will go to stay connected. Peru's ancient death march. Want to test your limits while walking in the footsteps of an ancient empire? The Inca Trail to Machu Picchu isn't just a bucket list trek. It's a brutal, high-altitude grind that's left plenty of hikers gasping for air. Or worse. This legendary path cuts through 26 miles of rugged Peruvian wilderness, topping out at 13,800 feet above sea level. Yeah, that's way up there, where the air gets thin and your body starts tripping. Altitude sickness? That's just the beginning. You're climbing steep stone steps built centuries ago, crossing narrow ridges and winding through cloud forests and deadly drop-offs. And the weather? Unpredictable. One minute it's blazing sun, the next you're caught in a cold, muddy downpour with slippery rocks and sketchy footing. And yet, people still flock here from all over the globe. Why? Because the reward is epic. Reaching the Sun Gate and looking down on Machu Picchu after 4 intense days? That's a moment you'll never forget. Tianmen Turns. Carved into the cliffs of China's Hunan province, this road is a white-knuckle ride through 6.8 miles of pure adrenaline. With 99 sharp hairpin bends stacked back-to-back, it's not just a challenge, it's a heart-stopper. Drivers here face sheer drops, blind corners, and stomach-churning curves that look like something out of an action movie. The road climbs nearly 3,800 feet from the valley floor to the legendary Heaven's Gate, a massive natural arch set into the mountain. But getting there, that's where the real test begins. The pavement hugs the mountainside so tight, there's barely any room for error. Built to symbolize the path to heaven, this road is a brutal reminder that the journey can be just as intense as the destination. Karnali Highway. They don't call it the Karnali Express for speed, it's called that with a bit of irony. This infamous route from Jumla to Surkhet in western Nepal is a 52-hour gut-punching ride through some of the harshest, most dangerous terrain on the planet. The Karnali Highway is just over 314 miles long, but don't let that dupe you. It's a chaotic mess of landslides, cliff edges, washed-out sections, and roads that barely deserve the name. There's no pavement for most of it, just loose rock, deep mud, and a constant fear of falling off the edge into the gorge below. During monsoon season, total chaos. Buses tip, trucks stall, passengers get out to push or walk for miles. Drivers navigate sharp turns with zero visibility and prayers instead of guardrails. What's wild is that this path is a lifeline. Villagers rely on it for food, fuel, and medicine, riding it because there's simply no other way. The journey is long, painful, and terrifying, but it's all they've got. Yungas Road. They call it El Camino de la Muerte for a reason. The Yungas Road in Bolivia is one of the most feared and fatal stretches of road anywhere on Earth. Perched along the steep cliffs of the Andes, this narrow, unpaved track snakes through fog, waterfalls, and 2,000-foot drops, with no guardrails in sight. Originally built in the 1930s, this 40-mile road connects La Paz to the Yungas region and was once the only route for villagers, traders, and families. But the catch? It's barely wide enough for a single truck, and when two vehicles meet, one has to reverse, often inches from the edge. The stats speak for themselves. This road was so dangerous, a safer bypass had to be built. Yet even now, thrill seekers and mountain bikers flock to it, chasing adrenaline as they ride through rain, mud, and mist, fully aware that one wrong move could send them over the edge. Keelong Kishtwar Road. High in the Himalayas, carved recklessly into vertical rock walls, lies the Keelong Kishtwar Road, a path so dangerous even seasoned drivers break a sweat. This road stretches through the heart of Himachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir, clinging to the edge of deep gorges with no guardrails, narrow lanes, and crumbling edges that drop thousands of feet straight down. The route links remote mountain villages, winding through rugged terrain where landslides, falling rocks, and flash floods are just part of the deal. Drivers often face blind corners, collapsing sections, and sheer cliff faces that leave zero room for error. Locals still use this death-defying route daily, whether it's on bikes, trucks, or foot, just to reach markets, schools, or hospitals. And for the few outsiders daring enough to try it, it's not a road, it's a survival mission. Fairy Meadows Road. Often labeled the most dangerous road on the planet, Fairy Meadows Road snakes just 10 miles through the mountains near Nanga Parbat, Pakistan's second highest peak. What makes it worse? Constant threats from falling rocks, sudden rainstorms that turn dirt into mud, and hairpin switchbacks that seem to defy logic. The road isn't just treacherous, it's merciless. There's no room for hesitation, no margin for error. Yet, despite the danger, it remains the only route connecting the outside world to the serene, high-altitude beauty of Fairy Meadows. For villagers, it's a lifeline. For trekkers, it's the gauntlet that must be passed to reach one of Pakistan's most breathtaking destinations. The reward at the end, lush green meadows, towering snow peaks, and pure silence, draws thousands each year. But make no mistake, getting there means facing one of the deadliest drives on Earth, Dras-Zanskar Ice Route. Now, this one's icy, wild, and downright deadly. The route from Dras to Zanskar in India isn't a typical road. It's the legendary Chadar Trek, a winter-only path that runs over the frozen Zanskar River. And yeah, it's as dangerous as it sounds. Locals call it the ice sheet, but don't let the name fool you. This trail is a shifting, cracking sheet of frozen water that might hold your weight, or not. One misstep and you could plunge into the icy depths below. Hypothermia? Instant. Rescue? Not likely. Temperatures drop to a bone-shattering minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit. And with brutal winds, collapsing ice bridges, and rock falls from towering canyon walls, this trek isn't just remote, it's extreme survival. And still, it's the only winter lifeline for the isolated villages of Zanskar, connecting them to Dras and the outside world. For centuries, this frozen trail has been used by traders, monks, and now adventurers chasing high-altitude thrills. But don't get it twisted. This path demands total respect. Thanks for watching. If these paths gave you chills, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Which one would you never walk? More wild journeys coming soon? Stay tuned.